Today, I have found a build that is going to stop every 6ix9ine in their tracks. Over the first month of this game being out, 6ix9ines have absolutely dominated, and I want to put that to an end. With this build, whenever a 6ix9ine is dribbling around you, or any build for that matter, you can easily strip the ball off them and get instant stops with a 99 steal. If they're disrespecting you and they don't want to guard you straight up, you can hit deep, limitless threes with this build. But wait, I'm not done yet. This build is able to get contact dunk animations and dunk on anyone that gets in its way. But you're probably thinking, with all of that, can this build do anything in playmaking? And the answer is yes. It can get almost every single dribble move in the entire game and can dribble so much faster than any 6ix9ine build that you've seen. And today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make it. Yo, what is good, YouTube? It's your boy Aurzyn, and today we are back with a brand new build that I actually posted a video about a couple days ago, or maybe a few days. I'm not even sure. I don't know. Time just be going by now. But I posted this build and I got so much feedback telling me to, where is this build? Where is this build? I need this build. So today we're going to be showing you guys the build and how to make it. But quickly, do not skip anywhere in this video. In this video, I go over how to make this build on current gen and next gen. Yes, that's right. So if you're on current gen, you can make this build. If you're on next gen, you can still make this build. And if you skip around, it might get a little confusing on which version of the build I'm talking about. And there's overall just a very subtle little change that you have to make if you're making it on next gen as opposed to current gen. But let me just tell you, man, this build is broken. It's super overpowered. You just get stopped so easily with it. Its defense is crazy. And on top of that, you're still faster at dribbling than any other build pretty much on the court. And so you're able to get buckets with this build too. And you're also not going to want to skip, because as we go along, I'm going to be telling you guys what badges you should be using after I upgrade each category, so that you guys know exactly what badges to use. And I don't have to get comments saying, oh, what badges do I use with this build? No, just watch the video. Please just watch the video. Also, if you're new around here, make sure that sub button, we're on this road to 100K. So, every sub counts. But, that's enough rambling for me. I'm sorry. I rambled for a long time here. I'm very sorry. But let's hop into the build. Alright, so getting into how to actually make this build, and I probably already mentioned this, but there's going to be a few slight variations in this build, just depending on some factors that might be a little different for you than they are for me. Also, there's just a few slight tweaks that I'm going to make for a next gen version of this build, and I'll show you guys both the current gen and next gen version. They're very similar, but they're just literally they're kind of 10 attribute points different. They are very similar. It's just one little tiny difference that you got to make. So heading into this build right here, it's going to be a point guard build. You can also make it at shooting guard and small forward, but we're just going to make it at point guard. And obviously your handedness and jersey number does not matter. Now for the height on this build, obviously I mentioned this build is going to be really good at stopping 6'9" players, and it's just going to have that slight edge at stopping those 6'9" players while still being tall but also being faster than them. So the height for this build is going to be 6'7", and the reason I went 6'7" is because it's the tallest build you can still get a 99 steal at. Now for the weight, we're gonna go all the way up to 227, and that might be a little crazy for some of you guys. But listen, this build is going to get silver bully. And I know you're thinking only silver bully, but silver bully is really good, trust me. And also going up on the weight just makes it so these 6'9"s can't really bully us by backing us down, or even taller players can't bully us by backing us down. So moving into the wingspan, we're going with a max wingspan right here, so we can get that 99 steal. We can go to 7'2", but in my opinion, it's just better to go max wingspan on this build. So going max in the body shape, I don't like my player to look too fat, so I go compact, but you guys can choose whatever you want. Now heading through the categories right here, I'm also going to be going over what badges you should be putting on in each category as I go through them. But starting off with finishing right here, our driving dunk on this build is going to be an 86. Now the reason I go for an 86 driving dunk on this build is to get that gold limitless takeoff. That way our build is still really solid at finishing, and our driving layup is going to go up to a 72, and our close shot is going to go up to a 68. Now this is for current gen right here. These driving stats are for current gen, but if you are on next gen, you're going to want to put your close shot up to a 75, and it's going to get you an extra badge point. You're going to want that extra badge point so that you're able to get your tier 3 badges. And I'll show you guys again at the end what the final next gen version of this build looks like. For current gen, anyone on current gen, your close shot is going to be a 68. For our 3-point shot right here, we're going to put our 3-point shot all the way up to max, and we're not going to touch anything else in shooting. Now 70 mid-range is kind of low, but if you want this build to work out, your mid-range doesn't really matter that much. You're going to be able to shoot mid-ranges wide open with a 70 if you need to, and you're still going to have that 85 3-pointer giving you silver limitless range, all of that stuff. And I actually forgot to quickly mention what badges I would run with this 13 finishing badges, and I believe on next gen it's like 14, and you can put 3 extra badges on next gen to get 17. But with this, you're going to be running Limitless Takeoff, Posterizer, and Bully. Those are the 3 main badges, and obviously we get Bully once we upgrade our strength. Now on next gen, you're going to want a core Limitless Takeoff, and you can go ahead and put on Bully, Posterizer, Slithery, Acrobat, whatever fills you up to get those 10 extra badges. Now for shooting, Agent 3 is really good, Amped is really good, Limitless Range is really, really good. You may want to run a low level of Catch and Shoot and also Green Machine. Those are going to be your key badges with this build. And I believe you also get 18 on next gen, allowing you to core 1 tier 3 badge and also get a normal tier 3 badge as well. Now for playmaking, I really like this build because it dribbles faster than my 6'9". I notice on my 6'9", I feel really, really slow, but this build just feels faster, and I like being faster. I don't like how slow the 6'9" feels this year. With that being said, our ball handle is a 90, which unlocks every single dribble move in the entire game, besides a couple. I believe you need a 92 to max, but you can't get a 92 on this build. But you do get some extra dribble moves at 90, which is really, really good. You're going to want those. And for our speed with ball, we're not actually going to max this. I did some testing. I did some research. Speed with ball, it doesn't really affect anything. I don't know why, but I've like tried builds with a 25 speed with ball and a 99 speed with ball, and they literally felt the same exact way dribbling. So I really don't know what speed with ball does. For me, all I need is the Michael Jordan dribble style, and to get that, you need a 75. But if you go up to 77, you actually get an extra badge point right there. So go up to 77 on your speed with ball and you get an extra badge point, but don't max it out. It's not needed. And finally, moving our pass accuracy up to a 72 right here, we're getting some extra badge points, and we also just get our pass accuracy up. Now for playmaking badges on this build, you're definitely going to want to have a quick first step on, unpluckable, killer combos. Those are the main 3 dribbling badges you need. And then obviously you're going to want like handles for days, maybe like some ankle breaker or clamp breaker. Now on next gen, this is where it gets really, really tricky. I believe you have 20 or 21 playmaking badges on next gen with this same build, and you have to kind of pick 2 out of the 4, or maybe 3 if you're lucky. 3 out of the 4 tier 3 badges and put some extra badge points on your playmaking. So for me, I'd probably core unpluckable, then use killer combos, either silver or gold, probably gold, and then put handles for days on as my 2 other tier 3 badges with this build. But it's really up to you, and you kind of have to figure out how to do it properly with this build, because those tier 3 playmaking badges are super, super important, and you have to figure out a way to get all of them. Anyway, moving on to one of the most important things about this build, it's going to be the steal rating. We have a 99 steal on this build, getting Hall of Fame glove with 7 badge points. So that's 7 badge points right there that it takes to get Hall of Fame glove. Now our perimeter defense is going to go all the way up to 86, and that's going to give us silver clamps, but we're actually going to go to 87, and it gives us an extra badge point. Now this build isn't weak on interior defense or block either. We're going to put our interior defense all up to 68. We get an extra badge point. We also unlock post move lockdown bronze if we want to use that, and our block is going to go all the way up to a 73 right here, and then we get an extra badge point at 73. 73, it's not the most crazy block rating, but blocks in this game just aren't even that OP in general. I think it's much more worth it to put those attributes into steal instead of block, because like, you could lower your steal if you wanted to, but you're going to get way more stops with a steal rating than you are with a block rating. Now going into our physicals right here, we're going to max our acceleration, and now there's a couple things you can do for speed on this build. Now when I originally made this build, I put my speed all the way up to 81, and you can do that if you want, but in my opinion, speed, like speed with the ball, is not the most important thing for dribbling or defense this year. Its acceleration is one of the most important things, and you need to have enough speed with the ball in order to get the Michael Jordan dribble style. But other than that, all that really affects your movement is like your acceleration. Your speed affects your movement, but it's like after a few seconds of already running. So the main thing you're going to notice is acceleration. This build also is going to have maximum strength right here. It's going to go up to a 75 vertical to get all the contact dunks, and we're going to finish off with 95 stamina. Now, what you can do with this build, and what I would recommend, especially on next gen, is to drop your speed down a bunch right here. I'm talking going down to probably around 70. I wouldn't go any lower than 70, but 70 is a pretty good mark. You save a ton of attributes, and you're able to get so much more out of the build. Now, if you're on current gen like me, you can drop your speed all the way down to a 72, and there's a bunch of different things you can do, including getting an extra playmaking badge right here at a 76 pass accuracy. You can also get some extra shooting badges, definitely like that. Although I don't know if you really need that many more shooting badges. I feel like shooting badges, like, you just don't need that many this year. There's not really that many amazing badges. It's kind of just Agent 3s and like Limitless Range and Green Machine. But some other stuff you could do is definitely get your finishing up. And like I said, on next gen, you're going to want to put your finishing, your close shot all the way up to like a 75. I believe it's 75 to get an extra badge on next gen. But I feel like one of the best places to actually put this is going to be your block rating. You get to an 87 block. And in my opinion, I would either put this in defense or playmaking. I wouldn't do shooting. I wouldn't do finishing. either put this in playmaking or defense. Now for your defensive badges, you're gonna want to be running glove, probably some menace, clamps, maybe chase down, anchor. You're gonna want to spread those badges out in order to get a decent amount of those badges on higher levels, but those would be the main defensive badges you're gonna want. Now, if you are on next gen, I know I've said if you're on next gen a lot, I'm trying to accommodate for both generations in this video. You're gonna want to change a few things. For one, on next gen, you get an extra badge of your ball handle to a 91, and you also want to put your close shot up to a 75. Then you're gonna bump your interior defense to a 69, put your block to a 71, put your defensive rebound up to a 50, and that would be the next gen build right here. It doesn't make too much sense to make it for current gen, but this is the right way to do it. Just copy these stats down if you're on next gen, and the badges will actually work out. And the badges will work out perfectly like this, because I made the build on next gen already, and I figured out the exact way to make it, just because current gen and next gen, they have like different badge casts for some reason. I don't know why, but they do. But if this is me on current gen, this is what I'm doing. I'm upgrading my block, and this is the final build I would make on current gen. Like I mentioned, you could use that speed if you want. You can put it back up to an 81, but in my opinion, this is just a better version of the build because speed doesn't really matter that much. And hitting continue, the takeovers I would use on this build, I don't know the takeovers you get on next gen, but I assume they're pretty similar. They're probably the exact same. I would use some combination of lockdown and sharpshooting, or if you want to be a little more offensive oriented, do some sort of combination of sharpshooting and shot creating. If you're on next gen, limitless range, pull up precision, ankle breaking shot, extreme clamps, any combination of those is going to be good. For me, I'm going to go primary sharp and secondary lockdown. Finishing the build comes out as a two-way three-point shot creator. I don't know if it does on next gen, but it does on current gen. This is the build name on current gen. But I hope this video helped you out making your build, whether you were on current gen or next gen. I know it might have been a little bit confusing keeping up with me because I kept switching back between current gen and next gen, kind of explaining the builds. But if you guys want the animations for this build, I have dedicated videos talking about the best dribble moves, dribble tutorial, the best jump shots. So go watch those if you guys want the best dribble moves and jump shot for this build. And with all that being said, I'm out, man. Peace.